The first State of the Nation address, Mr. President, you said that the public service was going to be integrated in all spheres of government, national, provincial, and local government, that you're going to come up with a uniform public service. Any progress?
That is being attended to. As you know, as I said, that the Department of Cooperative Governance is working on this. It's a crucial thing to do. You cannot have in one country different systems, but they are all with government, at different three spheres of government. It cannot work. That's why you end up with a situation where the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. It is important that we should create a single civil service and also create a manner in which that we are all working towards making South Africa a better country. That is why we have, for an example, established the Planning Commission, so that we have got a country's plan that everybody else, in whatever level of government, you work towards achieving. And that must be done by a kind of civil service that is doing one thing. That we are working on it, and I think it is coming all right.
But is it possible to do that, Mr. President, if you do not have so-called professional civil service? Because when a cabinet minister comes into, is appointed, then he comes with his own DG. When an MEC is appointed, she comes with her own DGs, heads of departments. A mayor appointed, own manager. It continues like that.
Well, I think in our country, that is even better. There are countries, if we went to the UK, the old democracy, if we went to the USA, the US, once the new party comes, everybody else goes, the new people come. I know that people here make this a big issue. It's a question of how you have set your standard, how people are supposed to work, and those people come with professionals, but the difference is that their countries are not like the developing world. They don't have a lot of lack of skills. The skills are there. I think what here tends to introduce the issue is because there's a question of skills. People talk about people running away, etc. You don't have enough. Governments are about elections. Elections are about parties. Parties that are supported by the majority of the people. At what point do you remove politics? I'm talking about old democracies. Politics is very strong there. As ministers come, they remove other civil servants and come with their own. They are not taking people they don't know who they are. And of course, because we are a developing democracy, people make a big issue about it.
South Africa,
what I think we should be saying is that let us introduce higher professional efficiency. That's what people should be calling for. Not to begin to say, you can't put this one, you can't put that one. If we are working in government and we've got a professional, I don't think professionals, for an example, when they're employed, they are asked what kind of political thing. I don't think that's a question. It's about profession.
But here's the point, Mr. President. The political parties themselves, in this instance, the political party in power, the ANC, would want cadres to be deployed by one department or the other, to the extent that at branch level, especially local government, we learn of situations where the party structures interfere with the people who are already elected or appointed to positions.
No, but you must have heard, we have addressed that issue. We have said we cannot have in public, you cannot have political structures running government. That is wrong. You can't have that. You can't have sit in a branch or in a region and try to run the municipality. If you recall, I've spoken, for an example, about the need at a level of the municipalities to do what we do at the national and provincial, to separate the political responsibility from the governmental and civil servants' responsibility. We are tackling that from that point of view because we believe, the experience shows, that in the process we have come across that, not that it is policy. People we have said, for an example, people at times want to become branch chairpersons or regional chairpersons, and then at the same time become councillors, become mayors or whatever. We are saying no. We have actually taken a position on that. But let us separate this.
But the same is happening even at provincial level in some instances. The Northwest is a good example.
Well, that we are talking about an exception because of some political issues.
And we learn of hit lists in Mpumalanga, for instance.
Well, I don't know for the hit list.
Well, we read about it. That's such a problem.
No, I agree. But this is part of what a government, a ruling party, has to be dealing with all the time to put things right. Once they begin to show, you must deal with things. As you know, the ruling party is intervening in the Northwest, is intervening precisely to address that question, because it has a reason, wherein political leaders tend to want to lead the structures of government in the manner that it do not leave the professional space for people who are civil servants. We are addressing those issues where they have arisen. So I'm saying it's not like a policy. The general point I was raising was that in countries throughout the world, once they come into power, they want to see the civil servants or the people that come at a certain level. Of course, generally, they are professional people who are there. And I think it's the same thing here. Because if you look at the civil service here, you talk about specific levels and individuals of specific individuals that have been put in.
You spoke about performance monitoring and evaluation of the cabinet, senior government officials, and this was supposed to be implemented from last July. It looks like it's still being finalized. I'm not too sure how far that is. How is it going to work, and when are we going to see the implementation thereof?
No, as you know, this is a new entity. So you couldn't have it starting to operate at the same time. It's not possible. Because, again, we wanted to do it properly to be effective. Whilst it is establishing itself, but it has started working. The fact of the matter that we are now talking about outcomes is part of the work that it is doing. So it is working already. I've said, even to the minister, this to me is going to be a huge entity, because we have got to monitor everything and to be sure that what we do, we are very methodical, we are very clear what we are doing. If you listened to the State of the Nation address, I said people now are going to tell us how are they going to do what they're doing, with what, at what time. That tells you it has arrived. And they are ready, that entity is ready to do that monitoring.
What's going to happen if they don't do what they promise they will do?
They all know. Nobody's going to sit who is not doing anything. That's why I said with the State of the Nation address, ministers are going to sign an agreement with the president.
What about provincial leadership, MECs, premiers?
It's going to happen as well. It's going to happen. Premiers will have to do the same.
What happens if they don't do?
If they don't do, why should they stay in the job? They're not going to stay in the job. Part of the reason is that once you are given timelines, it means you must achieve that. If you don't achieve it, how could you sit in the job which we are failing to do? It's very clear.
Let's talk about corruption. Mm-hmm. The head of the Special Investigations Unit, Veli Hofmeyr, complained in Parliament recently, says they do the investigations, make recommendations to departments to take disciplinary action against individuals, but they never implement his recommendations.
Well, I'm not sure, because as you heard, that means some investigations are done, some are sent to Parliament to go through committees, whatever. I can't comment intelligently because I don't know the details. I don't know where the hiccups are. Because if you investigate, you find that this is a situation. I would imagine if this is supposed to be undertaken by government, you give that to the government to take action immediately, so that those that need to be disciplined are disciplined, those that need to be arrested are arrested. But once you take the matter to Parliament, the committees will meet on a particular day and start debating the matters. It has to take a longer time. I don't know the method. I don't want to criticize it. Because I would imagine if you're investigating a department and you discover that certain people are not working well, you indicate to the minister, give the report to the minister so that the minister acts. You then say government is not acting. But if it goes to parliament, that's another arm of government. I don't know. The thing is that I don't want to debate it because I don't know where the hiccups are. I have said, and I said this when I was campaigning, I've said it now, and I've said we are looking at the regulations, a quicker way of taking action against corruption. Because at the moment, it's too cumbersome. It's too roundabout. There are cases where people are actually suspended with pay, and they'll stay for more than a year, getting a pay, no case, nothing. And I've said, let us find a shorter way of dealing with corruption. And I'm serious about it. That once a corruption case is found, it must be completed quicker. And therefore, that complaint must go away. What I'm saying at the moment, I don't have the details of such reports as to where were they delayed in the process.
We're talking to President Jacob Zuma, and this follows the second State of the Nation address on the 11th of February. This broadcast is on SABC 1 and the public radio stations.